Ebutantiancha na ene ukopim parliament finally the Trumu bill, the anti-LGBTQ bill, the battle omo etimi the stamp abos or pampan ya pass it. Na busia bill na pass ye no ensem ba ho. The minority led by Team for John omo kasa omo raise concerns and there was a whole lot of drama course so e will be we passing ho yetimi the ensem ni nyina bro no hu de niema call in summary because the new bill no ma pass no there's been some changes from the previous one ananka under the MPP no it's omo pass enti any changes aba no ni nyina wa ha busu bitimi asansan mu but before that me din edisi ke make us an first time now was subscribe to the channel and say be drop video will be to me enya update now yen consem no quick aka one final stage na abaye law which is omampani ne signature basis so obeya sent it to the bill with me this adwuma na say finally Ghana abaye one of the countries are almost ban gay sem completely se wokoye ne ye chewa mranos ne said ye nhye ne tie punishment ahodo ohu bia ne betimi e dia so aka one last final stage ebusia omampani eden nsa be hyase na ebusia ene changes kakra aba ene the minority no eka ene nsem e call parliament eni under the previous one the ene wo dada nanka Sam George mu push said then type MPP for sign na na branko Akuffo Addo omo ntimi push na emeye law no nanka anything to do with Trumu sem wa oboa omo wa bompaya mo wa cancel wo even we nurse ni and as a health professional na provide health service to be away yes and yamana ye be jailu and I say ye be punish we a reporter journalist blogger social media whatever anything to do with Trumu ho ani nyina no enka won mbra no e will be that was the previous bill but the current one changes abem three major changes and abasisi and that is why the minority so e kasa honorable team Kwadwo ebusia mo nani se after this me the better also now the three changes are about in the new bill and the parliament edo mo asase no and they say under the new amendment no mo chema obi a oye lawyer a offer legal representation or advice to persons omo identify as LGBTQ for no you will not be punished under the new law afenso no a journalist media organization na all reported on LGBTQ related issues in the course of the professional duties also we are exempted from sanctions and as a punishment inti first no nanka wuntimi this adwuma no say bill ne by first by this time so we lawyer na wuntimi offer legal counsel to be LGBTQ ni any who related issues so uni asem omni nipa kro na all practicing mum na asem afi first nanka wuntimi report as a journalist everybody nya de be related to omo di dwumadi na so omo ye program wuntimi nkuta or wuntimi interview obi ono ye hu ni ade wuntimi ntire bibia amfa no ho no ene yasesem at this time we a journalist and as a reporter obetimi edi say adwuma na no so embra no eni uni asem then there is a final one almost say in addition medical professionals which includes doctors nurses psychologists and other health practitioners are also providing medical or psychological services to LGBTQ persons. They will not face penalties under the proposed law. So the new law, and also a protected health professionals are almost with me any LGBTQ for the judgment. So currently, the attorney say, Omo di juma na nkasa, Omo ena emrawi eno omo. Obi biara will provide humanitarian aid and as a natural aid natural service bia edema omo nipa bia no. Omo so but omo ni nipa we identify as LGBTQ. Ena ewo issue ewo sa emrawi mu na busia sa emrawi e bro pass ye ne Sheldon akakre course so ewo parliament because e bro pass sa be we under this new exemptions any some technicalities on their baby can no the MPP which is the minority they had issues with it.
I submit that your arguments are in bad faith, majority leader, in bad faith. You are doing the mystery politics. You want to deceive the people of Ghana.
Leader,
Who told you?
Resume your seats?
Who told you, majority leader?
Both majority and minority leader can resume your seats.
You don't want to.
Both minority and majority leader can resume your seats.
We would face you on every part.
Can they resume your seats?
Will not allow you to deceive
minority
the people of
leader,
Ghana.
resume your seats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You think that by this way you'll be able to create a scene nationally and say that there's an attempt to water down the bill. This kind of politics is childish. This kind of politics is childish. No, this kind of politics is childish. We've gone beyond it. Ghanaians can see through your politics. Mr. Speaker, you have brought a bill that you say subject to the Constitution.
Which Constitution?
That's what the bill says. The bill signed by Ntim Forjo. This bill signed by Ntim Forjo says subject to the Constitution. A person shall not procure. Then he goes to clause 10 and says subject to the Constitution.
The provision of medical, surgical, psychological, or counseling services in accordance with accepted professional practice, which exemption was not part of the bill you wanted Akuffo to sign. And F, the reporting of news or current affairs by a media house or a journalist in the ordinary course of journalism, and the performance of a public health functions, including HIV and AIDS, prevention, testing, treatment, and care, which same testament was given by Ghana AIDS Commission before the full glare of this country in our live telecast that they provide condoms, lubricants, and other aids for persons living with HIV who are known LGBT members, so that they will go about their absurd sexual experiences. And yet this government wants to make exemption under this law. That is not the law we sponsored in the 8th Parliament. That is not the law we are sponsoring today. If the government is minded to pass their own law of a sort, which will grant all these exemptions, the very places we are trying to clamp down on, that can be a separate law. But so long as the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill is concerned, these exceptions are alien. These are not the exceptions in the Ugandan bill that was passed. These are not the exceptions in the Senegalese bill that was passed. These are not the exemptions granted in any of the countries that we are going to host next week, who have passed these laws and whom we are proud to host them in this very chamber. We are planning to host them. When they passed their bill, they didn't give any of these exceptions, because that is where the real problem is. These are the people sponsoring, supporting, making these activities rather attractive behind the scenes and even sometimes overtly. And so if I find it highly problematic, any attempt by this House to push any of these exceptions in, will resist it. And if the House will use their majority numbers to push it through, I, as a sponsor, will advise myself accordingly.
Very well. You are entitled to advise yourself. Yes, Majority Leader.
The new bill we wanted Akuffo to pass is now exempting all these people under this clause, including NGOs, including academic publications and for science and medical opinions. Mr. Speaker, including the report of news and current affairs by the media house or journalists in other courses of the journalism. Mr. Speaker, the point we are making here is that if you even see the proposal and the footnote, it said the rationale is to create an exemption for these categories of activity that may otherwise impugn under Section 2. Mr. Speaker, this is just watering down the point that you wanted the Akuffo to sign in 2028, for which reason people had issues. So today it is clear, Mr. Speaker, today it is clear that you are exempting all these people under this bill, which is not the same bill you asked the Akuffo to sign.
And then Ayisha be fire say as the MPP they are behaving like as a crown because must you pass you must still and you maybe she want and also many inside John.
I think that the minority leader has to pay attention.
Don't try to deceive me.
Minority leader has to pay attention.
To which one?
Minority leader. Mr. Speaker, you cannot be behaving like a small child. You cannot be behaving like a small child. Just come into the chamber and start throwing your hands left and right. You can't do that. You think that by this way you'll be able to create a scene nationally and say that there's an attempt to water down the bill. This kind of politics is childish. This kind of politics is childish. No, this kind of politics is childish. We've gone beyond it. Ghanaians can see through your politics.
And then Honorable Team Fojo went further to explain details. Interview with me, I drop it with Channel 1. I was Honorable Team Fojo on the new bill now, and also passing the issues are also pointed out.
Yeah, so this Umaru is a complete departure from what we intended. The great people of this country, overwhelming majority of this country, what represents their aspiration. What they have passed is particularly the Section 9, completely waters everything down. It grants exception, particularly for certain categories of people, and says, and not just exception. When we are saying exception, it should be put in perspective. For instance, Clause 9, which in our bill we had stated that subject to the Constitution, a person shall not procure, produce, market, broadcast, disseminate, publish, or distribute through a medium, technological platform, technological account, or any other means, or film, the internet service, or electronic device, or any other device capable of storage or transmission for the purposes of promoting an act prohibited under this act. We were very clear that for the purposes of promoting. We also want to say in the subclause 2 that a person shall not promote or engage in, support, or advocate for an act prohibited under this act, or engage in, participate in, promote or support an act aimed at changing public opinion towards an act prohibited under this act. And in all these, they have gone to create an exception that says that for someone, just for the purposes of being a non-governmental institution, you are exempted from this act. But you see, that is a very act that seeks to correct the canker we have. For instance, it says that for the performance of a public health function, including HIV and AIDS prevention, testing, treatment, and care, or the provision of medical, surgical, psychological, or counseling services in accordance with accepted professional practice. Then it goes on also to say the dissemination of information by governmental body, non-governmental organizations, development partner, or other body engaged in the delivery of health services or health-related programs. These are the very areas where promotion for LGBT are age-old endemic. And these are the very reasons why in all the laws that we've been seeking to pass, the sanction for persons who are promoting and advocating are even more than the persons who are even engaged in the act itself. Then, Umaru, let me refer you that the internment of the sponsors and in line with aspirations of the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians, we stated that, yes, there will be journalists. We anticipate that there will be journalists who will, in their lawful duty, will come across such reporting. There will be doctors who may have to treat persons and they have no, prejudice or bias whether the person is LGBT or not. The law does not in any way, criminalize them. And even went further to even propose an amendment that nothing in this act shall prevent or limit the lawful duties or functions of an institution. And therefore, and such persons and professionals. So long as you are in your lawful duty as a journalist, as a medical practitioner, there's nothing. Even if you are NGO, you are a development partner, whichever institution, so long as it is lawful functions, which is not promoting, advocating for, campaigning for, this law in itself already is clear about that. But for you to go and say that in respect of such promotion and advocacy, which is the very meat and thrust of what we want to kill, the mischief we want to cure, you are granted exceptions so that the very, very dangerous, potential sponsors and advocates for such acts, which have always been underground, overtly and covertly, should be exempted. So which people are you clamping down? Which people are you really targeting? And what mischiefs are you curing by this law that you have passed? We stood on our feet on the floor to draw the attention of the speaker, who was presiding then, the first deputy speaker, to ensure that they see to these things. And yet, they will not budge. They use their numbers to bulldoze it, and so whatever that has come does not represent what I consulted GPCC, I consulted the Catholic Bishop Conference, I consulted the Christian Council of Ghana and the traditional leaders, the Muslim Islamic Council, and all the relevant stakeholders. Over 93% of the population who find such practices very highly repugnant to our values. That is not what they want. And clearly, this government, if they didn't want to pass a bill, could have just simply shied away from it. But they go and pass a bill which in itself is counterproductive, which in itself exempts the very group of people who are the targets. Because you remember when we were doing the public hearing, there were confessions from some of those categories that were exempted, publicly saying that yes, they support such activities. They give lubricants, condoms, and support and devices for persons living with HIV and persons who are conducting such acts. They say that they provide those services already, in openly admitting that they promote it. What we're saying is that remove the promotion and advocacy, remove the support that makes these things attractive, remove those development partners or non-governmental organizations who have been renting premises, calling it resource centers, that for the past years we have had to resort to national security to close them down and always come to the media. But if you are now going to pass a law, indeed you have passed it, which is exempting those very people, what you have is not any biting law, it's just something for politics, it's just something for the optics. It is a acceptance law. And that is the concern we have. And so if you give all these exemptions, which exempting for those who are to do it legally are already exempted in our provisions, then who else are you targeting? So they may go ahead and take it through all the various processes that may be taken, but it must be on record. Now, so long as Section 9 is concerned, which is the thrust of the mischief we sought to cure, which mischief could not be cured by the Criminal and Other Offences Act, which only could deal with homosexuality, and we thought that the promotion is where the problem is. If we have exempted them, then it's a counterproductive bill. So nobody should go and politicize this. It should be a disappointment to the NDC hearer, the NDC citizen, the MPP citizen, the non-partisan citizen, whose only hope was that this parliament would have passed a bill that will actually target where the canker is coming from. But they have missed that opportunity, and therefore the bill, as it is now, does not represent what we submitted.
Okay, so for you, the bill is healthy, save the inclusion of Section 9. That's the only problem you have with. Did you oppose the passage of the bill as a result, or you stood aloof, or you voted with the majority on this?
No, we close to 1 hour. We stood on our feet. So the decision is that we are not against the entirety of it. This is a bill I co-sponsored. I've co-sponsored it twice.
So what I mean is that when it got to it, I get it. So I'm saying that when it came to it, before the gavel landed, did you vote aye or nay? No, because see, that is not the class of the matter here. No, it's important. It's important. Just a second. You see.
No. I know where you are getting at.
Let me rephrase it. We want to know when history.
With the greatest of respect.
I respect you so much, Reverend. Reverend, if you could just indulge me, Reverend.
About prohibition or propagation of.
Reverend, if you could just listen to me, I'll be grateful.
They have granted exemption.
Reverend.
So whatever bill that they have presented, whether how many people gavelled it, whether how many people said aye or how many people said no, we are saying that we are looking at the specific provision in clause 9,
okay,
which is to deal with the real object, but
it's counterproductive. You said it's counterproductive. I think you made that point. Yes. But I'll ask you again. In 2036, 10 years from now, if I pick the parliamentary Hansard, I would want to know when this bill was passed in 2026, how the majority voted and how the minority voted. Did you abstain as a minority? Did you vote yes or aye? Or you walked out? What happened in the chamber today?
There was no walkout. Nobody walked out.
Did you vote aye?
There was no walkout. What we are saying is that
you haven't answered the question. So did you vote aye or nay?
No, please. We stayed on our feet. And this question that you are asking, I really doubt where you want to get at, because in any case, this is a government that has over 188 members.
Yes, and but the minority can still have your say. You call yourself a mighty minority.
So if you sponsor a bill,
Honorable, you see, for purposes of records, your house, Honorable, Reverend, respectfully, your house, Reverend.
Draw the attention of Parliament that this particular clause defeats the entire thing we are doing for close to 1 hour, and you are ignored. Whatever you say at the end of the gavel, whether nay or nay, is inconsequential.
No,
they use their numbers.
But it will be seen on the records that you voted yes or no.
It's inconsequential.
Very well.